In order to understand what Marvel Spider-Man is, you need to have some context as to what came before it. Spider-Man games have been around since the days of Atari, and have been on practically every single gaming platform since. And the one thing these games all had in common was that they were all garbage!
What is a Spider-Man? If you were to take a spider and give it like human fingers for legs, does that make it a Spider-Man?
Starting out with the good here in Spider-Man. You see, everybody, when this came out, it kind of blew people away. It was a great game. They got everything right about a Spider-Man game. It's the first time it's ever been like a real deal big company tackling Spider-Man. And it's true. All the other games have been movie tie-ins or randomly throwaway comic book Spider-Man Ultimate Alliance kind of thing.
Alright, we're gonna play Spider-Man, the Spider-Man game, if I'm not mistaken. Marvel's Spider-Man. So, there are a lot of games. I think this is the one I'm supposed to review. Spider-Man Web Shooter. Yeah, it seems reasonable. Alright, let's try this out.
Or like if we got like a dude and we just made him like 50% spider. Like we literally took his genes and we just spliced them in half and did the same thing with a spider's genes and then put them together and grew it. Is that a Spider-Man? Is that what Spider-Man is?
At best, the game would be an underwhelming time waster, but at worst, they were lazy, rushed, unfinished trash. So going into Marvel Spider-Man, with the understanding that it was being produced by a competent development team and publisher, I had only one expectation in mind. This game cannot be anything less than the best Spider-Man game ever. Now, did it live up to those expectations? Well...
Oh my god, it's been at 3% for 5 hours.
The story in Spider-Man is pretty good. And I really didn't expect that. I was very glad to see that it wasn't going to be an origin of Spider-Man again for the 15th time. Not only has he been Spider-Man already, he's been Spider-Man for like years. He's out of college, man. He's just, you know what I mean? He's just going.
Now, in the game, Spider-Man PS4, you are already Spider-Man. Peter Parker has already been Spider-Man for a while. So there's no way of knowing how he really became Spider-Man. We just don't know. We also don't know how much of him is really Spider, or if we could scientifically accurately call him a Spider-Man.
I've been here for 6 hours now.
The story is kind of all over the place. It takes place around 8 years after Peter became Spider-Man, so this version of the character has a lot of experience being a superhero already under his belt. The game hints at several of his major villains already having existed in this universe. Characters like Mysterio, Sandman, Rhino, and a bunch of others. Even though some of these characters don't directly play into this game's story, they are implied to have existed and to have already interacted with Peter Parker.
31%. 31%!
Mary Jane and him have already been a thing, and I think they already stopped, like they broke up. All the stuff we've seen a million times about Spider-Man, they just do away with here, and they start us on a new story, and that's cool. The thing is, you're Spider-Man, you got a job out of college working at a laboratory, and he walks in and he goes like, morning, Dr. Octavius. And you're like, oh no.
Now, Spider-Man has some enemies. One of these is the Green Goblin. Aren't all goblins green? Couldn't he just be the Goblin?
Oh, we hear, fellas. Spider-Man wall okay. Oh, what is this music? Oh, Christ. We gotta avoid the things and collect the bonus points to win. I got it. This game is pretty self-explanatory, though. You just climbing up a building. Oh, did I get damaged there? I guess I got damaged there.
If you were to ask most people what the most popular Spider-Man antagonists are, they would probably say characters like Venom, Doc Ock, and even Green Goblin. Coincidentally, these are the only major characters that have yet to exist in this universe.
Also, why does he fly around? Do goblins usually just fly around? I don't think so. When I play Dungeons and Dragons, there aren't goblins flying around all over the place. They're on the ground, affected by gravity.
So, aside from it being a little predictable in that part, it is an enjoyable story because it ends up being about Peter and Dr. Octavius's relationship. He doesn't have a father figure, we all know that. So it's kind of like almost a father-son thing. And then you see Dr. Octavius descend into madness with his new discoveries and his jealousy of Oscorp. And I really did feel bad about him by the end of it when he went literally insane. He installs like a chip in his head or something that actually messes his brain up.
The bulk of this story, though, focuses on Mr. Negative and the inner demons, or whatever the hell his gang is called. I like the idea of telling a story that focuses on a lesser explored character, but at the end of the day, he just isn't a very compelling antagonist. And I think the writers realize this as well, because by the end of the game, he gets pushed to the side anyway in favor of Doc Ock, who, as referenced earlier, is a much more compelling villain.
I'm also not used to seeing goblins throw grenades. Or not. Well, I suppose I could see a goblin throwing a knife. But grenades, not so much, you know? Like, you have to be intelligent. The Green Goblin in Spider-Man was a scientist. Goblins are incapable of science. This has been proven back in 1923. So, obviously that's common knowledge. You don't need to know more about that.
You know, I'll be honest, I am not having a good time. I don't want this anymore. The music is awful. I can't.
The last act of the game in general is where a lot of the story's strengths lie. The relationship that Octavius and Peter have makes their fight all the more compelling, and although it feels kind of forced, Aunt May's death scene hits hard like a truck.
And you're like, oh, so he's not really doing this by his own will. It's his terrible machine that destroyed him. And you're as Peter, and you're like, well, I gotta stop him. This is sad. It's a pretty emotional story.
The rhinoceros is another enemy of Spider-Man. Now, you may not know this, but the rhinoceros is the natural predator of spiders.
No, I'm done. Alright, that's not the one I'm reviewing. We're gonna do Spider-Man Epic Battle. This seems like the thing I'm supposed to be reviewing here. Oh, it's the same loading screen. I guess it's made by the same company. So, the story is Spider-Man is fighting villains. A lot of them.
I don't think either of those enemies are in the game. Instead, we got some dumbass electro bitch. Just likes to shoot lightning everywhere. Like a bitch. And then, fucking, I think Sandman's in there. He's just Sandy.
A lot of plot threads feel kind of forced, and I never really cared for the relationship MJ had with Peter as it was portrayed in the game. The conflicts they shared seemed pretty juvenile and petty. Also, Miles felt pretty shoehorned into the story as well. He and Peter become buddy-buddy way too quickly, and I feel like both characters suffer from the way their relationship was portrayed.
But in the terms of the story, you got Mary Jane sections, and, what's the other kid? Oh my gosh. How am I forgetting the other guy who becomes Spider-Man? What's his name?
It doesn't help at all that several points throughout the game you were forced into the walking sections with these characters, and these are some of the most boring parts of the game.
Oh yeah, parts of the game suck. Any part of the game where you're not playing Spider-Man sucks. It's a Spider-Man game, so that makes sense, you know. But if you're playing as like Mary Jane, you're literally spending your time being a dumb bitch, and it's as not fun as it sounds.
Something with an M? Oh my god, how am I forgetting him? The main character of Spider-Verse. Was it Marcus?
When you're playing as Miles, you know, you're literally, like, you're Miles for, like, 2 segments, I think, and one of them is just Black Kid escape the cops. So that was more fun than being a dumb bitch simulator, but...
Miles Morales. Yes, it was an M.
This is just a mix and match game. What is this? This is some baby shit. What is going on right now? This is stupid. Can people actually get entertainment value from this? No, it's just a matching game. I didn't get enough time to see the things. Crap.
To describe the gameplay quickly, I would call it frustrating, tedious, and kind of underwhelming.
Alright, so you can play as Mary Jane, and you can play as Miles Morales. They're both the same sections, though. You're just sneaking around because you're not a superhero. You're just a guy or a girl, and you're just walking around. A lot of these sections are slow and boring. It's basically a glorified cutscene a lot of the time. Like, you're walking and you're talking. It's just exposition, except you can play but there's nothing to play. You're just walking around a room, you know what I mean?
The main focus was put on the traversal of the game. Web swinging is fun, but it's held back by some strange design decisions.
Most of the time, the game's pretty good. I'm a huge fan of like power type games, and Spider-Man's kind of like that, but not as much as I would have thought. It ended up being like more of a beat 'em up, which is that's for some people. It wasn't super for me.
Did Scorpion just sigh like a girl? Yeah, I don't want this one. I don't want to play this one anymore. All right, we're gonna do Spider-Man Web Shooter. That's gotta be it.
And there's a lot of puzzles conjoined in these sections, but calling them puzzles is a bit of a overstatement, because it's like, oh, this statue doesn't look the same in the picture. His arm's a little different in the picture. Okay, I guess I'll move his arm. And then you move his arm, and that's the puzzle. It's alright. They tried to put a little variety into it, but man, it's not very fun.
People like to praise the fact that webs stick realistically to buildings in this game, but throughout my time in the game, I was never really able to verify that. The game doesn't let you hang on a web for very long, and even if you could, it doesn't let you move the camera in a way that lets you see the pivot point of the web. And when you stop moving, there isn't any evidence that you even pass through an area at all. No stray webs attached to buildings or anything. This is especially disappointing because these were all features that were part of the much acclaimed Spider-Man 2 in 2004.
The web slinging. Man, every single interview about this game from the developers, it's all, well, our number one goal was to make the web slinging right. We really wanted to do Spider-Man right and make the web slinging, and the web slinging, and the web slinging. It's like, okay, well, they got it. I mean, they got it. It's pretty awesome.
I wish there was like more like web powers. If I'm a Spider-Man, I want to be doing spider things. I don't want to be crafting gadgets. Like, I could have just bought a taser. I didn't need a spider stun gun.
Same loading time. Problems. Is it me? Do I have bad internet? Do I just have really awful internet? What's going on?
Could have raided an armory. Didn't really need to craft these explosives.
Oh, I'm fighting Rhino. Okay. This is some top-notch story, honestly. There's a break-in in an important bank, and I gotta eliminate the potential danger.
I'm your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I could just swing around town, and it's fun as hell. It's fast. You can change your momentum a little bit. You can stick to like an edge and then bounce off of it to go even faster. You don't even have to like kick up speed. You can just hold the run button, jump, and you're just in the air and you're going. You are going. You can be so fast in this game, and it's very fun, so they got that right.
In general, the web swinging is really easy to learn, and because of that, it doesn't really have a high enough skill ceiling to ever feel rewarding. A lot of things are automated, such as wall running. In Spider-Man 2, wall running required carefully timed presses of the run button, the wall climb button, and the jump button. It was a technique that had to be learned and mastered, and when you did do it correctly, you could go up buildings incredibly quickly.
Alright, so I'm shooting webs at a man. He's throwing crates at me. I feel like some of the audio work could be done differently. Yes, that's right. Gotcha. Alright, now I gotta fight Dr. Octopus. Just like in the movies. I don't remember this in the movies.
Spider-Man movies. The Raimi Spider-Man movies suck. They're just terrible. You should never watch a Raimi Spider-Man, except for the one segment from 3 where Tobey Maguire dances. And if you have the ability to, you should absolutely watch it without music or sound, because it really heightens the entire experience.
It's way too easy to achieve maximum speed in this game. All you need to do is bounce off one perch point and you're at maximum speed. Whether you were stationary or you're already in motion, the result is exactly the same. Spider-Man 2 made you work for your speed. You had to perfectly maneuver your character and release the button at the most ideal points of your swinging arc. You were required to build up momentum and then conserve it, as any mistake you made would set you back to square one. Chaining all the maneuvers as well as the web swinging and the wall running takes a lot of practice, and when it's fully mastered, it's an incredibly rewarding feeling to swing through a city at incredibly fast speeds.
It's also very pretty. This is like a full recreation of New York City, down to the landmarks. There's a ton of different landmarks. If you've ever been to New York, you can go to the same places you've been, and they're there, and it's like, oh, cool, it's New York.
Alright, that's one Octobot down. You know, I'm gonna be real, the gameplay is very slow, and I'm not a fan. What? What do you mean reload? Did it just make a gun cocking sound? Is Spider-Man a gun? Oh, Electro. I remember him from that Spider-Man movie where the guy turned blue from falling into a vat of eels.
The Amazing Spider-Man movies with Andrew Garfield. Didn't see the second one. First one was meh, felt low effort. I don't know. Didn't quite like it. Marvel Spider-Man. It's pretty good. They got a hot Aunt May.
There's also the Avengers Tower, which is the only thing that's not there, but makes sense. It's really cool. It's the tallest building. It's very fun to climb up of and just jump off like a crazy person. It's fun. It's super fun.
The most insulting part of the traversal in this game is that if you climb the highest building in the game and jump off of it, your character will still be fine. If you did the same in Spider-Man 2, you will fucking die!
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little tired of this music track again. But I can't. Oh, damn it! I'm gotta reload like a. This game feels like purgatory.
And I was kind of mad at them for that. I was like, oh, May's supposed to be like old, but they got like this really hot lady to be Aunt May. But then I found out the actress is like 53, so like she is older. She's just a banging 50-year-old woman, you know. She's just got a rockin' pot. So I guess whatever. Jon Favreau, the director, man, can have his hot MILF. Way to be a director, man. Way to do it.
Kind of everything else is a little generic. This is my main complaint. Like, if you ever played an open world game, aside from all the things I just mentioned, this is like all those other games. You are running around, you can collect things here and there. Every now and then you'll come across some enemies. It's a bunch of dots on a map, and you gotta go to them. That's the game. You go from one point to the next point. You beat up guys, you go to the next point, you beat up guys.
The combat in this game is pretty standard stuff. It's nothing on the level of Devil May Cry or something like that, of course, but you are given a lot of abilities and gadgets to play with, and there are a handful of ways to take out each type of enemy. My only major gripe is that I wish there was more options for stealth gameplay.
It's just that. It's just kind of that. The side missions could be kind of interesting, but a lot of them boil down to beat up guys. That's like the gameplay. It's beating up. You mash square, occasionally circle, maybe a little triangle. I mean, it's not to say the combat's bad. It's actually pretty fun. It's just that it's the only thing you do.
Ow! What was that move? Wait, gotcha. Did Electro die? Oh, it's the Green Goblin! Yay! Oh my god, he's throwing pumpkins at such an amazing speed. Stop throwing pumpkins! I gotta take. How am I supposed to damage you when you're throwing so many pumpkins and I've got limited webs? What's going on?
If you play the Arkham games, it's a little bit like that, but faster. You got the web gadgets to add a little variety into the mix, and there's a lot of fun web gadgets. Normal web shoot. Then you got like an impact shooter that it's like a ton of web that sticks people to the wall instantly. That's fun. You got a web bomb. You got an electric web that stuns people and kind of creates a chain of electricity that stuns other people.
So if you were like going to give someone like lame powers, you'd get Spider-Man. Like Stan Lee was literally like, I'm ready to give it the dude the power to fucking crawl on the wall. And it's like, that's cool. You know, like I was surprised the other day I saw a bug walking along my ceiling, and it's like, wow, I wonder how he sticks to the ceiling with gravity. You know, being affected by gravity like goblins are supposed to. You'd think it would fall.
You have a couple of ways to take out enemies in stealth, but it's ultimately very limited, and it's not anywhere close to the same level as the Batman Arkham titles. What's worse is that there will be several points in the game where you're presented with a room of enemies and given the option to take them out stealthily. But even if you take out the group of enemies perfectly, after that another wave is going to come in and they're going to automatically be alerted to your location.
I don't want to play this one anymore. I don't want to do it. We're gonna play a different one. What about Spider-Man Rescue Mission? Maybe this is the one I gotta do. I've gone through at least 3 rings of hell doing this, and I can't. No.
My favorite one is the concussive blast, I think it's called. When you're fighting on a rooftop, it's just a wave of air, and it pushes people off the roof and kills them. Oh, sorry. No, it doesn't kill them. Spider-Man doesn't kill. Even though you're totally murdering so many people in this game, no one's gonna survive a metal trash can to the skull, okay?
So let's make that into superpower, I guess. I don't know. And then it was just so lame that he was like, well, I guess I have to give him these other powers that don't make sense. Like super strength. Like I've heard of ants being like 10 times stronger than they should be or something like that. But like spiders, I don't really think spiders are like super strong.
There's no way to hide from this new wave of enemies, and more waves will come in soon. So you're forced to fight them normally as you would any other group of enemies. Usually stealth sections like this are good to get an advantage on your opponents, but in this case it doesn't really matter, so it doesn't really feel like there's any point to playing stealthily at all.
One of the main side things you can do is crimes, which is basically whenever you're swinging around the city, you'll see a little red triangle exclamation point saying, there's a crime over here, Spider-Man, we need you! And you can head over there, and it'll just be a small group of guys. You can probably take care of them in like 30 seconds. Like if you're good at the game, you could just do it.
Okay. It's time. Okay, we're gonna do this. I gotta rescue Jameson? I think I remember him being the guy who didn't like Spider-Man. Well, that's ironic.
A lot of them are just car chases. There are a lot of car chase, side mission or main mission, there's a lot of car chases. You chase stuff so much, and it ends the same way, man. I don't know how many times I can jump onto a car roof, take the guys out on the left window, then the right window, and then mash square to stop the car. It happens so many times. I recorded the like half hour of gameplay, and there's like 5 car chases in that clip alone.
Spider sense? Like, I've killed a lot of spiders in my life. I don't think any of them had a spidey sense that was fucking alerting them to the fist that was about to end their existence. Or else they probably would have moved. That's a little whack. I don't really get that, but I guess crawling on walls isn't good enough.
I think this game's biggest strength lies in its presentation. The graphics aren't anything super amazing, but they are up to standard of your basic current gen game, and it is nice to see Spider-Man presented in this sort of way.
Oh, actual things. I'm not just limited to a singular 2-dimensional space. Well, this actually looks like a real game. Jonah? I thought I had to rescue someone else. Okay. Actually, I'm not too mad about the movement control.
Yes, the gameplay's kind of generic, and I feel like maybe they knew that, so they tried to add some stuff to change it up a little bit. There's there's little pipe puzzles all around the game that can be pretty easy, can be pretty medium sometimes. I enjoyed them. A lot of people didn't, though. They thought they were dumb.
This game is filled with tons of different cosmetic variations for your suit. Each one has its own abilities tied to it. However, you can use any ability with any suit anyway, so that feature feels kind of pointless.
Thing is, you can literally just skip them at the push of a button. There's an option to do that. They made a big deal out of accessibility in this game, and it's true, there's a lot of different customization things you can do with the UI and whatnot. So it's really great for handicapped people. Not every mission is beat up guys. Sometimes you gotta swing around through clouds or something to collect data or whatever.
Okay, there's some problems I'm having with the way jumping works. How am I supposed to? Okay, we're gonna jump up here. Ow! All right, we're gonna jump over him. What do you want from me, game? What do you want from me?
And Spider-Man like makes his own fucking web shooter. Like, he can't even make fucking webs. Like, if I thought about a spider's powers, and I was going to give a spider's powers to a person, I would start with the web. That's like the one thing spiders do. Maybe having 8 arms, but then a web. And then maybe walking on walls. He didn't get that part of the spider genes, which is why, who knows, he might not even be a real Spider-Man. He might just be calling himself Spider-Man because he's fucking sad that he doesn't get the cool power.
But I do want to talk about the DLC. There's the first DLC pack is about Black Cat, who plays a very minor role in the actual base game. She doesn't really appear, she's just fooling you and like leaving really little recordings of herself around, tricking you. I think Black Cat's like, I'm pregnant, Spider-Man, so, yeah. And you're like, what? This is not happening. This is a Spider-Man story?
Well, that was awful. What on earth? Okay, alright, now I gotta fight Rhino again. I hate this game series, man. Why can't I climb on the ceiling? Please, let me on the ceiling. Let me on the ceiling. Rhino is going to kill me. Please, stop. No, please stop it. No. What's this? What is this? This is the ceiling. I can't get to the ceiling. Are those things horns? Are they preventing me from jumping on the seat? They're pushing me back! No! Okay, I think I figured it out. The horns, they push you, they like launch you backwards for no reason. No, what happened? Did I get damaged by the box? What happened? Ryder just materialized out of thin air.
It's a little strange how they put the Spider Armor Mark III into the base game and then they saved the original, more iconic Spider Armor for DLC. But other than that, there's not a lot to complain about. They've even added free DLC in the form of the suit from the Raimi trilogy, as well as suits from Spider-Man Far From Home, which just came out recently.
It was like weird. It was interesting, maybe even more interesting than the main story. And then it ends on a cliffhanger, and you're like, okay, I guess I'll wait for the next DLC. And the next DLC comes out, and it's not anything to do with Black Cat. You do find out that Peter is not the father, or actually, I don't even think she was pregnant. It was all a trick.
Okay, I'm gonna make it. Run, Spider-Man, move your ass, please. Oh, thank God. Oh, Spider-Man, fuck you. Let's just go. Where actually is he? He's like down there. How is he even supposed to? Oh, okay. That's like the only clever use of level design I've seen in this entire game. It's hard to tell what the foreground and background is in this game. I hate it. No, this is bullshit.
The DLC part 2 is focused on Hammerhead. No, the villain's actually called Hammerhead because he's got like a steel plate in his skull. Yeah, and there was an interesting plotline with Yuri, which is the girl who worked for the police who kind of sends Spider-Man the pro tips. And she's a character in the main plot too. And she kind of goes crazy because her and Hammerhead have like a history. And then there are gang wars going on in New York and you gotta stop it. And the third DLC is focused on the Silver Lady, the gray-haired lady who hates Spider-Man for some reason. I don't really know.
There's this Sable bitch. She's white. She seems to really like white. She's Russian. She probably drinks White Russians. I don't know if she's Russian. That might have been a lie. She has some mercenaries and she comes to the city and she attacks black people.
No, what? No! I didn't want to swing on that. Why is it automatic? Wait, why won't I lock onto the thing when I'm jumping the way I want to jump? Okay. Alright, we're here.
If there's one thing I could ask for, it would probably be for the suits from the Amazing Spider-Man films to be in the game. I know these films had their problems, but I think the costumes were really cool and they were really nice takes on the classic Spider-Man design.
I didn't talk about the suits. There's a lot of different suits. They just added a couple more suits for the new Spider-Man movie, so they're gonna keep doing that, I think. I don't even know what half these suits are from. Spider-Man has such a rich history that I'm so interested in after playing this game. Like the one white skull with blue flames. What is that Spider-Man from? I don't know, but I can play as him in this game now. And even in the cutscenes you can be as him, which is very funny.
Oh, who is that? Is that Dr. Octopine? This is Puss. It's Octopus. This is the worst game I've ever played. The controls are awful. The movement is awful. Just let me get. It does it just not? I hate this game.
Complete the game. You get Spider-Man in his underwear. Classic. Gotta play as Spider-Man in his underwear. A lot of this game is but is it worth playing? Yeah, definitely.
Alright, move, Gargoyle. I'm gonna. I was pressing the button to do the launching! I was pressing the button to do the launching!
Spiders have 8 legs. Wait, do they? No, they definitely do. They don't have 6 legs, right?
That was the worst swing I've ever seen, Spider-Man. You're
How many legs? How many legs does a horse have? How many legs does a horse have?
Wait, did the music track just stop? Did I take so long that the music track just stopped? Stupid game!
How many legs do spiders have? 8 legs. Okay.
So, is this the best Spider-Man game ever made? I mean, yeah, probably.
I guess
give
you
him
can
up
give
Spider-Man a
two
2 out of 3.
legs.